Hey y'all, so this uncommon devotion, we're talking about how special the redemption of Christ really is that sometimes we may not know. So, and this is kind of a sensitive topic, so bear with me. Christ has redeemed so much that he's also redeemed people who are born of incest. Now, we oftentimes are talking and interacting with people, maybe best friends with somebody who's born out of incest and you don't know. And that's something they feel like is a shame and a burden on them. So I'm here to give you this quick devotion on just how they are redeemed as well. So ironically enough, Christ's ancestor, Ruth, comes from incest. How is that? She comes from a tribe called the Moabite people. The Moabite people are people who come from Lot and his oldest daughter, right? Who had a child together. Now, the story behind that is wild. It's not something he chose to do. They got him drunk because they came from the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, which practiced sodomy and was burned down by the Most High. So they said, we will have nobody to have offspring with. Let's get our father drunk. They got their father drunk, and the oldest daughter had a child with Lot, and that became the Moabite people. The Moabite people down the line end up having Ruth, and you can read the story of Ruth and Naomi. Ruth ends up marrying Boaz, the Israelite. They end up having a child. That child ends up having Jesse, and that son Jesse ends up having your favorite, King David. And as we know down the line, Christ comes. So when Jesus died and rose again on that cross, not only did he beat death for us, not only did he redeem so many other thieves and crooks and criminals, stuff that people have chosen to do, he's also redeemed the sins of people who never even had that choice. So this word is for anybody out there who feels like, I'm ashamed, I've come from this situation. Christ has redeemed you, and Christ is more similar to you than a lot of people around you. So feel inspired, feel encouraged, and know that you are saved and have salvation just like the next person, because Jesus redeemed that and saved you as well.
Welcome to another episode of the Uncommon Crew. I'm your host, Michaela, joined today by my colleagues, Dylan, Jay Ice.
What's good?
And a special guest host, Dr. Roderick McIntyre.
Hey,
Thank you for having me. The man in the building.
Thank you so much for joining us. I want to give our audience a little background about you. Dr. McIntyre is a retired employee of the Dallas City Attorney's Office, and today he will be sharing his insights and perspectives regarding our local government. Dr. McIntyre, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I want to get into just getting a little bit more information about your background. Do you mind sharing with us what your educational history is?
My education history, just current. You want the current, or you want the whole?
I would like past,
Okay.
present.
Well, actually, my education, I went to Dallas Baptist University actually at the age of 48.
Okay.
Oh.
And I went back and got my college degree.
Okay.
At the age of 48. I received a bachelor's in psychology, and I went back and got a double master's in Christian ministries and theological studies.
Okay.
And from there, I went on to get my doctorate in education leadership. Okay. So I wanted to work on the psychology side. I wanted to work on me first. Mm-hmm. And that's always first and foremost when you're trying to get into a world of healing. You want to heal yourself first. I would tell people, if you don't clean your own house, you can't start with anybody else's. So right. I went there, and then once I got into theological studies, then I was able to help other people. So it actually worked out fine. And when I got my doctorate in education, that's where I wanted to kind of spread it abroad. I wanted to be more of that speaker, sharing how leadership actually should work in the workplace, how we should be a different type of leader in the workplace. One of my favorite guys of all times is John Maxwell. And he was one of the ones that kind of inspired me to kind of push the bus into leadership, because leadership kind of is taking a back seat. So that's kind of my educational bridge there. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana, born and raised there, 4 brothers. My mom raised her all by herself. Men have come up to me and told me that a woman couldn't raise 4 men, but she did. And I really applaud her for that, and I've been successful. I came here January 26, 1988, with $15 in my car, and I did what the Lord called me to do. I was one of those guys, I was like Jonah, if you will. I was on the run. And when I ended up in an empty house, in an empty closet, with just me and God. And it was a 6 by 8 foot closet, and it was about maybe 32 degrees outside. So it was more colder in the house than it was outside. So I ended up walking through the house to see if I could kind of stay there. You know, a brother of mine, I met him downtown. He told me I could live there. He was headed back to Shreveport. So when I got in the closet was heat was coming from the wall next door, which gave me the opportunity to actually stay there for about a month or two. So it was an eye-opening experience. It gave me a different perspective because God was trying to show me this is where I want you to go, but you're not moving fast enough. So He got me in the right place. My wife helped hire me for my first job in the city of Dallas.
Okay.
I got a wife and a job on the same day. That's when you know God's working.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
She was
That's when
helping
you know
you
God
out.
was working. So all in all, I've been very blessed being here in Dallas. I can honestly say that the move that God pushed me to make was awesome. I was defiant, if I could be honest.
Okay.
But He showed me the way.
So let me ask you this then. You mentioned it, right? You said, hey, I got a wife and a job at that point. So then tell us about that. Tell us about that transition into this job. Like, what is that role? What has that been? What is that journey? Like, start us there. Like, what job was this? And
Well, it was
how does that help
actually a
people?
job with the city of Dallas, actually.
Okay.
I knew a lady. I was working in temp services with the Ramses exhibit with Trammell Crow.
Okay.
And this was years ago. He had this exhibit to come here, and one of the ladies, she was a supervisor of mine. And when the exhibit ended, she ended up getting a job for the city of Dallas.
Okay.
So she says, Roderick, when time comes, I'll look out for you.
Okay.
And when the time came, she called me up. She says, hey, listen, I know it's been a minute, but I want you to know I didn't forget about you. So when she called me in, she says, okay, I'm going to get you processed and all the good stuff for this temp job. So she couldn't figure out how to work the system, how to get the process started. So it was this lady from next door in her cube. Her name was Tammy Stewart, which is now today Tammy McIntyre. She says, can you help me get him processed? And she says, sure, no problem. I'll help you. So she walked in. I said, oh, man, this sister's fine. You know, being honest.
Absolutely.
You know, and so Miss Chapman, who was helping me out, she says, I need you to keep yourself together. Keep yourself together. You trying to get a job. You can't get a woman with no job. So, we're down the road, so, but, all in all, they kept trying to work things out. And, I was one of those guys, I was always the guy that was picked to struggle before he succeeded. And that particular day, when things weren't going right, I said, oh, Lord, what is this about? I said, oh, they're checking my credit? Because I know it's poor. Is that the issue? What could it be,
Yeah.
So, but all in all, things worked out. And Tammy, who is my wife now, she was very professional. And I said, okay. So I ended up working in the building. So I came down to HR. I said, you know what? Hey, listen, thanks for your help. I appreciate it. Can we get a cup of coffee?
Absolutely.
Of course, she threw me on the bus and said, no, I won't do it. No problem. So I wore it down.
Okay.
I put my Macology on her.
Okay, come on now. Yeah. You
So,
and J-Bag now.
33 years later. 33 years later. So, yeah, we're still together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amen.
So it's great. So I really appreciate that. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Okay.
So like how you were raised and how you grew up and like some of the struggle that you went through, would you say like that kind of motivated you to want to get into like working for the city to try to make a change, or did that just kind of just happen? You weren't really looking
actually,
for it.
at that particular time, I was just looking for a job. I wasn't. It wasn't so much about trying to make a difference in government. It was just trying to, figure out, okay, well, where's my next form of employment going to be? Because when when I left the Trammell Crow organization, I ended up, just jobless. So when you're a single brother looking for his next rent payment, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do.
True.
Right.
True.
So once I did that, again, like I say, Miss Chapman, she called me And when she called me, she set me up, and everything started to work itself out. But as far as changing the trajectory of leadership, I wasn't at that point. I was kind of the guy that everybody wanted to get to know.
Okay.
Motivational, always upbeat, always got that smile on his face, always got a good word. And that's kind of where I was.
Okay.
So, and I think it was because I had a job.
Yeah.
You got a job, you smile.
Really motivated.
Exactly. So once that worked out for me, I ended up working for the city attorney's office.
Okay.
And once I got into the city attorney's office, I became a runner. And basically what a runner did, well, a runner actually, you go to court, you file documents and pleadings, you set hearings, you go to other law firms, and you meet with all these other people. So, I mean, it wasn't the greatest job, but the best thing about the job was I met a lot of influential people. So I was always meeting judges, doctors, lawyers, commissioners, and things like that. So I was building bridges along the way, which it worked out fine. And I think I would tell anybody, I mean, influence goes a long way when you're trying to get certain things done.
True.
When lawyers were trying to get certain things filed and hearings set, and when they couldn't get them set, they would say, Roderick, hey, listen, can you go down, to the courthouse and talk with Judge so-and-so? And, occasionally I would be able to talk with certain judges and say, well, Roderick, what are you guys looking for? Oh, we need this date. Okay, cool, no problem, I'll set it up. And there were those.
Ah, I got you.
No. No, it's not going to happen. So, but I think it was the Christian influence that I brought to my office that really made people see the God in me. And being downtown, I was always suited and booted because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
True.
So the judges always thought I was an attorney. I said, I'm good. No, I'm just a guy.
Yeah.
So building good relationships worked out for me. It was an awesome thing. Just getting to know all sides of government, from the federal side to the county side to the municipality side.
Yeah.
It was all good.
Okay.
So you never really met, I never really met an enemy in that area, because I was always the guy who bought the upbeat.
Yeah.
Right.
I bought that tempo.
Yeah.
So when you walk in the door with that type of tempo, it's kind of hard to knock you down.
Yeah. So
what I mean?
you got to facilitate even a lot of the relationships.
Yes.
So you're helping also foster some of those things. So say, like you mentioned, right, go talk to such and such down at the courthouse because it may be tension there in that relationship, and they're trusting you enough to have that relationship, like a relationship manager, to manage the temperatures in that, because you're dealing with lives, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're dealing with long-term sense. So I guess even can you elaborate more on some of the fulfillment that you've got from that, right? And some of a story that you may have of kind of seeing a breakthrough happen by helping manage those relationships and help push some things through that ended up positive for somebody's life?
Well, I think when you look at it from that vantage point, you see, you always go in looking to walk out on the positive side.
Gotcha.
And even when you don't get a win-win, you have to look at it, okay, well, I can come back the next week and see how I can make this work. And no system's perfect, and I knew that going in the door. And there were days when I could go in and get a hearing set for next week, and based on who the judge was, who was requesting the hearing, really determine how it's going to go.
Gotcha.
Because the city of Dallas, we didn't have the best of relationships when it came to, getting certain things done through the court system. We actually had to kind of, follow the rule of law. But there were times when, we were able to actually, as you say, foster good relationships. So I had those with the administrators.
Okay.
The administrators were the ones who were setting the hearings.
Okay.
Those were the ones who I would talk to.
Okay.
So basically they would go and say, Judge so-and-so, the city of Dallas is here. Well, when they would come out and say, oh, hey, Roderick, how you doing? Okay, so, he'd go back in, or they go back in, it's okay, well, fine, we'll give you a thumbs up. But then there was also times when, you catch them on a bad day, it didn't go so well. So you understood the win-wins.
Gotcha.
It's it was going to be a tussle today. I walk out smiling, or I walk out saying, "Hey guys, look, it didn't happen." He said it way down in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to take a vacation. I just did my part. That's all I could do.
So Dr. McIntyre, then break it down to us for the folks who may not know the court lingo. Like, what is a hearing, right? And what's the process, right? Do these people just kind of just show up and say like, I gotta, what's a hearing and what's the process?
Well, with municipality, of course, people always sued us. We went in occasionally we were in the business of suing other people, but people were always suing us.
Okay.
So we were the ones that were actually, hearing is basically going to get your case heard.
Oh, okay.
Basically, you want to get your voice heard.
Okay.
And that person is always that's that plaintiff saying, "Hey, look, the city of Dallas has wronged me," or I'm here to to argue my case.
Gotcha.
And that's I was that guy who was filing that petition on behalf of the city attorney's office or this attorney in our office.
Oh.
So I was that guy. So they would come down, and of course they would set the first hearing 21 days out, and basically go in and of course argue their case.
So if I have a case and I'm like, and Michaela's my attorney, and I'm like, hey, can you get on the case? She is filing, doing stuff with the county, the office of Dallas, and then essentially that's running through you to make sure that this gets to the right place and it gets heard, and in the back end of that, making sure that this case running properly.
Yeah,
that's extreme.
Exactly, and it's a lot of responsibility in that too, because there was one particular. You always got to watch your back, and I was told that when I came into the office, I had this sister. She said, "Whatever you do, watch your back." I said, "Well, I'm just going down here filing documents." "Whatever you do, watch your back." So twice a day I would go to the courthouse, once at 10 and once at 3.
Wow.
Well, if a lawyer or his secretary didn't put the pleading in the tray, I miss it. So if I miss it, something goes the wrong way. That falls back on me. And several times it fell back on me. So I've got people at the front desk in the office saying, "Hey, look, I pulled everything out of this tray. In case something falls back on me, I need you to come behind me at 3:15 or 10:15 or 10:30, check the box just to make sure that everything's okay."
Gotcha.
Because the system, it can be a little jaded when you got people, shady, doing things, and you're late. And what time I leave every day. So it's not like I leave at 10:15 or 10:30. It's 10 o'clock and it's 3 o'clock. So that's kind of how it was. But there was a moment or two when I was called in and said, "Hey, look, you missed this filing." "No, I did not. This box was clean." Now, I may have got on the elevator and she may have walked down and threw it in the tray at 3:05. So that falls back on me. So it's a lot of responsibility that went along with that, and that really, it's a salty spot, especially when you're the guy. You always gotta protect yourself because no one's gonna protect you.
Do you think people do that like intentionally because they know like it's trying to a strategic plan to try to get over?
No, I just think it's just laziness. I think it was just pure lazy. Maybe sometimes our secretaries have came in late, or got some issues at home. You running late. This pleading's done. It's due, and it's due. But you got a new job. Instead of getting here at 8 o'clock, you got here at 10. Okay, so then you're rushing trying to get it done, but you can't get it done by 10. So you throw it in here at 10:15 or 10:30. "Oh, okay, I put it in there." I went through a lot. I was the guy. I was Moses.
I was going to ask
This is
because
a
you
big
being
mediator.
you being like
Talk
I was going to ask
about-
because you being like a Christian and like there's so many things that go along with that, like so many boxes you have to check, and like you said, there's people that are lazy. So did you create like enemies, or like did you bump heads with people because you're trying to do things the right way, and then you have to basically jump over hurdles with people who are cutting corners? Or?
Yeah. You have to set yourself up to be successful, despite what people are not doing, because you're gonna have lazy people in any industry, and you're gonna have to work with that. So I had to work with that on many occasions. You know who's lazy, you know who's early, and you know who's on time. And when you figure that out, okay, you got other people in the office who cover your back. So again, that influence, those relationships, those Christian relationships, they go a long way. You know, I was, as I say, I was Moses. I couldn't do anything good. I was only as good as my last task. That's it. Only as good. Oh, he's awesome today. Oh, yeah, but by 3 o'clock, listen, we might need to let him go. You know, by 5. That's just how. That's real. That's just how the system was. That's real. You know, so I was always able to cover myself. Over time, things changed. It got better because as you're there, you tend to know the back door to everything. You tend to know the front door to everything. You know who's shady. You know who's legit. You know who's crooked. You know all those people. So you get that.
So how do you handle those type of conflicts? Like
you deal with it.
Okay.
One thing you don't do, you never let your emotion get out of whack.
Oh, okay.
You never let them see you sweat.
There you go.
And when you anticipate the unexpected. You know, it's always preparing for a ball game. Okay. We could lose, but we're going to go out and give it 100%. So I'm always expecting somebody to do something, you know, unprofessional. So I always got somebody in the office who's you know, okay, Roderick, I'll watch your back. I'll watch your back. I'll go check your box at 10:30, or I'll go check it at 3:30 just to make sure nothing happens. So, but I was the guy that was always going to be blamed for everything, and that's kind of a sore spot. But you get used to it after a while, and so one day, I think I just got tired of being blamed, and I just went to the office. I said, "Hey, look, we got to have this talk. We got to have this come to Jesus because this ain't cool." you know. So and after that, as years passed, things got a little bit easier because you really can't blame him because he knows who the people are. Yeah. And then as the lazy people tend to leave the office, then you get more people to come in. So now the leadership is changing, and so is the dialogue in the office is changing also too. He's a good guy. We like him. Everybody's watching his back. So you build this reputation, and once you build a reputation for being this good guy, everybody likes that. So we're not going to let him fail. And it took a while, but it worked out.
Facts.
So you mentioned that you would go to the courthouse twice a day to pick up cases. Was there an average amount that you would have to work on every day, or was it just variable?
No, it was just basically dependent on what the attorneys were doing at that time. Some attorneys would file their own stuff. Some attorneys would say, "Hey, Roderick, I've got stuff coming down at 3 o'clock. We're just letting you know what's going on." And it's no big deal. Anytime, if I had a brief, maybe, briefs could go anywhere from, 50 pages to 500 pages. So you're trying to file a brief. But other than that, nothing really major. It was just, you had people that just would not do the right thing. And it was just unfortunate.
So let me ask this then. How important is it for people to then, I guess, get involved, like local people to get involved in what's going on in the city? I don't know if that is more so just people paying attention, showing up to city halls. I don't know if that's people showing up for jury duty, right? I don't know what that looks like, but I'm just curious from your perspective, I guess, what can people do to kind of help with the overall what's going on downtown, in that whole department, just not just with your job function, but just everything in general. What some things that we could do to get more
it encompasses the city of Dallas as a whole?
Yeah.
Well, that's where we have council meetings on Wednesday.
Okay.
Council meetings on Wednesday encompasses taxpayers coming in, sharing their thoughts about their community, what's going on, what's not.
So that's like every Wednesday?
Every Wednesday of the year.
Oh, every Wednesday people can just go to
Yeah. Break that down.
Open mic. It's open mic.
Really?
So you go in, you sign up, and if there's a subject matter on the agenda, you have something that you want to say, you come down and you say it.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Does it get pretty unruly?
Oh, it gets ugly.
I know you see those little videos where you have some of the civilians like talking to so I guess that's what it is.
I've seen some on social media.
It gets a little heated because especially on different type of subject matters. You want your voice to be heard, and then especially in the southern sector, these a lot of impoverished neighborhoods, and then you've got council members that are kind of trying to make the thing go right, trying to make the process better or the community better, but it's not moving fast enough. So you get the constituents to come down. They talk about it, and like I say, some wanna hold a conversation, and some wanna throw hands. It gets different. Yeah. I mean, you talking about, sometimes the thug will come out.
Yeah.
You got security standing there, on the side over there, making sure that everybody stay calm and professional. But we've had a lot of Kodak moments. Oh, I'm talking about shouting matches.
Wow.
And where people were escorted out, people were taken out based on their opinions and how they thought about different things, and shouting at the council members, shouting at the mayor.
Have you seen that get any positive results? Does that even get anything done over your time of?
I think there's some positive outlook, I think, in there, but it's all political. You got to look at the politics on this stage. This stage is not about the individual standing there. It's about the people around the horseshoe who are representing the districts.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who are most important, not just the constituents, but those are the ones who are most important. So when they're not doing their part, the constituents are coming down and says, hey, look, what can we do about this? We've got trash in our neighborhood. We've got dogs. I don't know if you guys remember, maybe a few years back, a lady was mauled by some bulldogs in South Dallas, and she was killed. That was the animal control department. They took a lot of heat for that, a lot of heat. And you had people wanting justice, people wanting, hey, look, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
I mean, when you got all these stray dogs in the community, what are you guys doing about it?
Yeah.
So it's a lot that goes along with that. So, I mean, just different type of subject matters, trying to build certain things in the community that, that don't meet code, that maybe is a code issue. So, but you want to try to go ahead and build it anyway. You want to try to find a way around it. And that's tough.
So do you think that's a good opportunity for a Moses moment where you can kind of sway Pharaoh? Not trying to, no disrespect to council people out there, but you can have a Pharaoh moment where you can kind of persuade the hearts of the rulers in a way, right? Obviously you get, your 2 minutes of fame, 30 seconds, but is that an opportunity at least kind of in a respectful manner, right? Try to get the conversation and some action going. Do you think that is a good avenue for that?
The conversation's always there. The conversation, the dialogue, it's there, but you still have to understand the rules of the game. Everything is political. Everything is politically motivated. That may not be on my agenda this year, but it may be next year. So we'll take it on advisement and we'll get back with you. But it's not like, okay, well, yeah, this is a hard issue right now, so we're going to go ahead and deal with it. Sometimes, if it's high profile, okay, we're going to go ahead and deal with this because the city of Dallas, not the city of Dallas working environment, but the city of Dallas as a whole, constituents, encompassed in all this. This is impacting everyone. So now we jump on that. Because it's high profile. And when the news hits it or the media gets it and they have a field day with it, it's on. And they're standing in front of our office says, can I get, a minute of your time? And you're like, okay, well, no, he don't want to talk to you. So this is not going to go well.
So this sounds like it goes back to just kind of voting in a way. Because we kind of get the same people, and I'm not trying to go down the rabbit hole of left and right. I'm not doing all that. But I'm thinking if we keep having issues, if the money's there, right, it seems like almost simple solutions, right? Obviously it's political, I get that. But then to me, that is a character thing, right? Because if you just do the job, I'm big on just do your job, right? If you just do your job, then you'll get solutions. You'll keep getting answers to it. So I feel like maybe there's an issue with the character of people that are in these kind of positions that is kind of impacting, progress from possibly happening. Just kind of listen to your story in the office to even now.
But also this I chime in, because you say it can get political or whatever. So when you say that, does it necessarily mean, because there's a lot of things that the city of Dallas has to take care of or address? Is it more of okay, what are the bigger issues? What are the ones that's going to the bigger money issues? Or is it what are the betterment of the civilians?
I think it's more political on the side of, okay, take North Dallas. North Dallas streets, potholes, they get fixed just like that. The southern sector, well, we're gonna,
Delayed.
we're gonna take care of it. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it on the agenda. We're gonna work on it. It's not. It's at a turtle's pace. When you are looking at the southern sector, but when you look at the northern sector, well, all you got to do is you just say, hey, look, I need this done, and it's Johnny on the spot. And that's where the bridge needs to come together. Where equality needs to be on both sides, and it's not. And that's the issue, because you want everybody to be treated fairly. And that's what, over the years that I've been there, 67, Highway 67, I mean, it looks awesome now. But it took almost 40 years to get it together. Whereas you run up and down Central got fixed almost 30 years ago. So when you look at different neighborhoods in different times, as I say, priority, Oak Cliff is great, but let's take care of North Dallas first. And it's always been that way. And it's sad, but it's the truth.
So those are similar to that. The subject right now that we're speaking of is similar to the budget allocation that goes out, and constituents can look at it and argue what areas to want to fund, transportation or parks and rec more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's your motivation? What did you ride on your election on? What did you come in on? You're going to get all the homeless off the street. Is that going to be your platform? Is that what you're going to run on? Or you're going to change all, you're going to close up and fill all the potholes in Dallas? That's going to be your platform? That's basically it. So based on what, your platform is, it really determines how things go. Mayor elections, they used to come out in droves. They don't come out in droves anymore, because it's not like it's really benefiting the voters. It's like, okay, well, they already know who they're going to vote for anyway. Well, they already know who's going to get the job. So a lot of times you don't get out there and vote. And I think that's what turns off the voters, is knowing that, it can go sideways, and well, they're going to vote who they want to vote for. So especially the front runner, no matter who they are, we're going to get behind them. So, and if you put the right people behind them, it doesn't matter.
That's what I feel like. It feels like now, like, because they were like, oh, you need to go vote. It just, like, it doesn't really have the same effect as I feel like it used to probably back in the day.
And I really I hate that, but it's really true, because it's like, well, I mean, this guy, he's running, I mean, he's got the hunts behind him, he's got the paroles behind him. Oh gosh, okay, you know what? I'm not going to vote. He's going to win anyway. And that's where we are. That's where we are. So we're so quick to fall in the mode of resistance, and we don't see that our voices need to be heard. And that's what happens when we look at funding, when we look at highways, when we look at bridges, when we look at infrastructure. Infrastructure now is coming in where the mayor is trying to build a new convention center. Fair Park is trying to take on some things also too. So he's trying to put his name on something now, because right now he hasn't. But he's got to get it done, because he knows his time, because he's looking for a different platform after he finishes, his job with the city of Dallas.
Term.
Yeah.
So he knows that.
Yeah. So you're saying even now, then, our local vote still counts?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We just have to get out.
There we go.
And like I say, we're so quick to fall into a mode of resistance, because we know how things are.
When you say we need to get out, what does that mean? Do we need to go to the council, like to the
council meetings?
There it is.
Town hall meetings. Let your voices be heard.
Okay.
Let people hear what you have to say. Put it out there.
Okay.
But you can't.
But you're still at the mercy of whoever
and I agree. But you still have to get in these rooms and have conversations with those who are in charge.
To start having your influence.
Yes.
Okay,
so then they start getting familiar who you are, and they might start listening a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many of them who did not get mayoral spot, but he didn't give up the idea of making an impact for his community. He still shows up and says, hey, listen, we need to have a conversation inside these walls because my community is suffering. I mean, it's an impoverished neighborhood that needs help. You know, housing needs to be fixed up. Our streets needs to be paved. You know, we need to get a lot of the drugs out of our community. You know, and you got to have these types of conversations because, believe it or not, the council member, his head's on the chopping block when these things aren't being handled or taken care of because they're saying, well, you in charge. Why not make it happen? So it's a different ball game in politics. It's a different ball game. It really is. And you have to know the rules of the game to understand that everything's not going to always go your way.
Gotcha.
And your vote is your voice. You know, and like I say, I'm not from Dallas. I'm from Collin County. But being down there for 33 years, you've seen a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
And your voice, it impacts the community. It impacts what you say. But you got to have the right people behind you pushing that bus because otherwise it's like, okay, so what do we do?
Yeah. So then where can people get like accurate information to know, you know, when election season comes? Okay.
Go to the council meetings, meet your council member. Get to know them, get to know who they are.
Yeah.
Make sure you're getting to know them because you want them to actually say, hey, listen, we got problems in our community. You know we have problems in our communities.
Yeah.
When are you going to fix it? We voted for you. Based on what your platform was, we actually took you at your word.
Gotcha.
What are you going to do?
Is voting season coming up for
I'm not.
Dallas?
I don't think so. There was a election just passed. I think it was a runoff. I'm not sure. People, you know, there's some things going on in Dallas.
Yeah.
But no.
But all that information be like on the website or
Yes,
something?
it's on the website, but it's also on Wednesday. Wednesday, they have council meetings. You know,
They put
people
all the
would come
updates there.
down. People would speak their minds. People would want to talk about some of the things that's going on.
Does Collin County do the same thing?
Yes, they do.
They do?
Yes, they
Okay.
do. We are just a different type of people. You know, we're different up here. You know, we're not. You know, our issues and their issues, they're different. You know, and I hate to say that because it sounds uppity, and it's not.
What are the differences, would you say? Like,
Well, our mayor tends to want to, especially our past mayor, Rosalie. Is it Rosalie? I can't think of his name. Anyway, he was one. He built Plano. He bought these big Fortune 500 companies into Plano. He was all about the people.
Right.
He was all, okay, let me hear what you have to say. You know, it's kind of like being married. You may say something. I may walk out the door one day and my wife has said something. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go back. Hey, what did you say? Let's talk about that. Because you discover it's important. Something that she said that you just thought was just, you know, off the cuff.
Yeah.
You got to come back and say, well, hold on, wait a minute. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And he was that type of guy where he would go in, he want to hear what everybody has to say. Town hall meetings. You want to meet with these people. I want to know what the community needs at this point. What are they thinking about? What's on their minds? So, I mean, it's really important to get in touch with your community. It's in touch to know, okay, well, you know, and when they frown, when they see you coming, they know you're doing a good job.
so you know, like there's always like bad apples, you know,
Sure.
in every company and stuff. So we all know, like, you know, people are frauds. So is there like systems in play to weed out the people who are like crooked, or you know what I'm saying? Is there like systems in play, or you just have to? They basically just wait their term out, and you just have to vote them out.
And that's pretty much it. Because I mean, I think if we, and that's a interesting question. I mean, politics is full of it.
You can't just fire them on the spot.
No, you can't. You can't. Once they're in office, you just can't. I mean, we would have been glad to fire the other guy. I mean, but we,
You ain't lying.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, you have to think. You know.
Well, how do they even get like in office? Is it because we don't know who you voting for? We just vote, or they
Exactly.
like they
And a
wear a
lot of times
smile
you
and they
don't know.
change as soon as they get into office, or
Right. I mean,
or is the same person as last time, so people are familiar with that
Exactly.
person,
A
so they
non-vote
can just
is a
get
vote.
over.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. But you have to know, I would always encourage people, get to know who's running for office. Know their background, know where they went to school, know what they did, know what their, are they family men, or, look up his background. Is he an abusive husband? Is she a battered wife? I mean, these are things that you want to know before you start putting it out there, well, I'm going to get behind this particular individual. Because if you're not confident in him or her, you're not going to vote for him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think people get caught up in the, like, dang, all these people suck.
Mm-hmm.
And
you know what? And, that's
And there's
true.
so much to like keep up with. It's like we already got so many other things that we need to worry about. It's like now we need to see who's real and who's not.
And it's tough. In politics, it's tough. And one of the things I said one Sunday when I was preaching, if you really want to know if you're impacting the people, look behind you and see who's following you. And who's following you. If you got a quartet, if you got an army, it speaks volumes about you. But if you just this guy who just blowing smoke and everybody know you're blowing smoke, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. But you have to know the people that you're putting in office. You have to know a lot about them. And unfortunately, sometimes we do. But that's where politics raises its head. If you got a good leader in an impoverished community, and you got this guy running, and he's shady, but he can keep your palms sweaty long enough to get in office, he's going to do that because he knows the community is going to stand behind you, not me. That's the difference. So when you see a community leader with all this backing saying, I'm going to vote for this guy, okay, we have to trust him. But my thing is, I got to watch you also too. Because if I know about him the way I think you should know about him, then I got to check you out.
Okay.
Because what's in it for you? Everybody's benefiting. When it comes to politics, everybody benefits. Those who get in politics is a strange bedfellow. And I've seen a lot of people get into politics for all the wrong reasons and get in bed with all the wrong people. And, it's when you become that hooker, that's just the way it is.
So would you be able to describe the powers of a city attorney that people may not know about? What is making these individuals so hungry for this type of position?
You know what? I think back in the day, I think those types of positions were high profile. I think they were positions that people were hungry for, but not anymore. And the reason being is because the leadership around the horseshoe has so many needs, and they are willing to sacrifice their needs and to figure out how can I excel. So I'm going to use you to get me where I need to go. It's not a popular job anymore. It used to be popular. I mean, when you were the city attorney, you were popular, but not anymore. Because it's a job that carries a lot of responsibility. It has a lot of weight, but the weight only falls by the city council. What does the council say? If the council is going to stand behind you, then you're good. But if the council is against you, well, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, because you might be pulling out things that may be against them, and it's like,
Yeah. I mean, we've had unfortunate city attorneys that were not a favorite for the city council, and things didn't go well for them. And you've had people that they like, so we're gonna bring them on in, but like I say, it's politics.
So would you say, I've been reading this book, The Accommodation, by Jim Shorts. It's a foreword by John Wiley Price. And a lot of what they highlight in the earlier chapters is how Dallas, you've been here for a while, I think you said 30 years or so. And a lot of it's highlighted about how Dallas is kind of like an oligarchy in historical, right? And they've kind of just kept the powers amongst the families who ruled, and they put people in position. How much of that have you seen change versus still kind of stay the same or stay stagnant in today's time? Which I want to clarify for the audience is not too far off. I know sometimes we act like we just thousands of light years away from things that have happened in our grandparents' time, but
Right.
they're very much prevalent today.
Exactly.
As we were then. So I don't know if you notice
Well,
if much has changed or not.
In my mind, I don't see a lot. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I still think Dallas is pro-white. Now that's just me,
Yeah, fine.
because I've been in the game a long time.
Yeah.
So when you start to see the hands change, hands don't always just change. If the minority is coming in, the majority is putting them there. That's the difference.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And so you're not just getting here, we're putting you here. Because the constituents or some of the council members are asking, we're looking for more color in certain areas of government. We need you to make that happen. And it does.
So it's all like they all like specific on like
Sure.
the areas
Sure. And they're looking for
and
specific
intentional
people.
with it.
Yeah.
That
Let's talk about that.
when I left, government was going toward more female.
Okay.
They like the subservient type. They want that female. They're moving the men out because men tend to take more of an aggressive role. They tend to ask questions. They want to know more about what we're doing. What are the risks involved? Will my family be impacted by what I may do on tomorrow?
Okay.
But Miss Johnson, well, she may just be, the one that says, okay, well, yeah, we'll go ahead and get it done, regardless of the risk involved. And when you become the fall guy, because there's always a fall guy. There's always a fall guy in the land of politics. Somebody has to fall. Everybody's not going to win.
So over your time in working in the city of Dallas, have you seen like a shift in the positive direction as far as like the timetable that it takes to get things fixed or problem solutions, or is it all still like a very...
No, we recycle law. We recycle. They recycle. They recycle the law. I mean, things that we did 20 years ago, minus technology, they're bringing it back. Things that we did that we thought was a plus 10 years ago, we abolished, and we went back to the stuff that we did in 19.
So there's no like innovations of like decision making?
No, only when it comes to technology.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. But we still were not firm on technology, because if you think about it, we had a ransomware.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. Twice, the county and the city.
Yeah. So we don't,
Got 'em
we're not where we need to be in terms of technology. We're not there yet. So there's a lot.
Because I see that in like even like in universities, like they'll just recycle like the same curriculums and things. So is that kind of similar with the city government?
It's easier to recycle yes people.
Okay.
That's the difference. You're looking for yes people. You're not looking for people that come in with an ambition.
Looking to change something.
No, we don't want change. If we want change, we'll make it.
Oh.
And it's a difference. And I had to sit on the sidelines. I wasn't the guy who made it all the way up the ladder. I got midpoint because I recognized I wasn't about to jeopardize myself or my spiritual integrity. You got to ask yourself, what can you go home with every day? What can you, when you bow to a God that can do anything but fail, when you bow to a God, he's moved armies to make things happen. I ain't got to do this. I don't. Now, being in the position I was in, I was always able to speak my mind and be honest, because I was the guy who would sit in a room and never say a word. Hey, Roderick, I noticed you didn't add anything to our last meeting. What happened? Well, what do you want to know? Because see, I'm not going to tell the circle. I'll tell you how I feel about it, but I'm not going to tell the whole circle. You have to be careful when you open your mouth in a forum of 10 or 15 people, because it can hurt you or it can help you. But in politics, it'll always damage you.
So it's not that there's so much necessarily in that circle. They're not each other's boss per se, but it's kind of a majority type of situation where we can kind of box you out in a way.
Yes.
Like if you're thinking like basketball, like they getting you in the post and boxing you out. And okay.
When you got a 5'4" person getting rebounds over a 6'2" person, what does that tell you? Okay, you boxing me out. It's not because you got the position on me. Well, you do have the position on me. It's just that you don't have this position. So if that happened, when things started to go sideways, there were a lot of sidebar meetings that I wasn't privy to. And when people, I said, hey, I didn't know we was having a meeting. Oh, I didn't put you on the email.
Oh man.
Okay. I said, oh, okay. So it's like that now. Yeah. So they start sending you these signs.
Yeah.
So they start taking you out the equation of all the projects.
Yeah.
They start putting them into other people's hands. And when you got an IT person being a PM, you already know, okay, something's going on.
Yeah.
It's just too much like at stake for them to just be like cutting loose like that, I feel.
Well, no, it depends. You again, like I say, it's government.
It's that.
How much power do you have? Do you know you have, or how much influence are you confident that you have?
Because do you have do they have boosters? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like how you have certain like boosters
Sponsors?
that put, or sponsors that
No,
put
nothing
money?
like that. Oh no, no, we can't be owned by that.
Oh, no lobbyists or nothing?
Because no one could come in and make a contribution to government. That's a bribe.
Right.
Can't do that.
Okay.
Like, hey, come on, go ahead and pass that bill.
Okay, but as far as me, I mean, over time, my voice had an impact. But after a while, they silenced me. And when they start to censor you, you know then it's time to go.
See, then that concerns me too, because now the city is missing hardworking, honest men like yourself. So then what is then, I guess, the pipeline to help get more people that have the, they can do the high risk, high reward, right? Because they may not have a whole established family. They may be fresh out,
Right.
college, they're on fire still. They're like, what does that pipeline look like to try to get some of those people to, because we don't want to replace you. You're just gone.
Right.
We obviously want to fill you in with somebody who's keeping the same motivation and honest work.
That's not a concern for them. All they want is a yes person. We're not concerned about, you getting the job done. Do you have a relationship with the chiefs? Are you satisfying the chiefs in the office? Are they okay with you? You could be the worst employee in town.
Just as long as the chiefs like you.
If they like you, you in.
And you'll stay in.
Yeah, and you'll stay in.
Until you mess up.
Yeah. And
So they make it really hard for like anyone of that type of mentality. Like, I want to be honest and make change. They make it very hard for them to come in and actually.
You can't stay. You find your way out quicker because you see the door coming in.
And that's just how it's set up.
It's just how it is.
Wow.
You don't get you won't stay long enough, to say, okay, you know what, I made an impact or I had a voice in the organization. No, you won't get that.
Then how do you get how does John Wiley stay so long in the game?
John Wiley's John Wiley. That's all I'm gonna say. He's John Wiley Price, and John Wiley knows how to take care of business. And John Wiley has said, I can teach y'all a few things if you want to know. But I mean, John's a different type guy. He's in county law, we're in a municipality or a local government. So it's different. It's different.
Yeah, it's true.
And you handle more civil lawsuits?
Civil, some municipality law, things like that. The office handled more civil law.
Okay.
What is that? Zoning. What I'm trying to say is civil rights, personal injury, things like that. That's kind of what the city of Dallas, what the city attorney's office handled.
Okay.
So who has immunity to not be able to be sued by the city, if anybody, any entity? Does that exist?
Who?
I'm saying, does that exist? Does anyone have immunity against being sued?
You know what? I couldn't even answer that question.
Okay.
That's a legal question, probably. I would have to get a little more information on.
Okay.
But let's just say it's a slippery slope. It really is.
If there is, throughout your whole time working up at the city of Dallas, like from beginning to end, what is something that you seen that you saw change, or like you wish would have changed before you had left, or that you still haven't seen change and you still wish it would change?
There was a lady. Her and I became good friends, and she said, "Roderick, She said, I had to come to the city of Dallas to become a crook.
Wow.
She said, because I came here straight arrow, clocked in, did my job, did what I was supposed to do. I was straight-laced, but I didn't get the raises. Now, the one who came in late, the one who showed up, the one who had all the issues going on, you got the bad review, but yet you got a good raise. That's where you start seeing things go downhill. You say, okay, so my work ethic is not important. No, it's not. Because if we don't like you, you won't get a good raise. Now, you could be the worst employee, but everybody likes you. You get the better raises.
Wow.
I've seen it happen.
Wow.
Yeah. So to your point, the change didn't get better. It only got worse. And I think when you look at the leadership, the lack of experience in the leadership was what probably, I think it damaged the whole system. Because the less you know, the more vulnerable you are. Because you're gonna test different things. You're going to not going to be so insightful.
Yeah.
And when you make vulnerable decisions based on emotion, that's dangerous. And when you don't have the skill set or the experience to make these types of decisions, you're going to burn a lot of people, including yourself.
So do you think that's why the city of Dallas is kind of, to me, kind of at a very slower pace than you got your Collin County, even though Collin County was dependent on Dallas County, Dallas County was dependent on the city. Right. So do you think that, do you see the city of Dallas growing in a way that is going to be eventually beneficial, or do you see it being kind of stagnant, just kind of where it's at?
With the infrastructure, I think from an infrastructure standpoint, I think it's going to grow.
Okay.
I think from a political standpoint, I think there's change because there's more transparency. The mayor wanted a watchdog or board to come in to actually oversee a lot of the things missteps that were made, prior to him coming there and while he is there. So he brought in, an oversight committee to see, where these missteps are happening. Why are we making these mistakes? And when it's costing you millions of dollars, you got to say, what are we doing? Because taxpayers are saying, well, that's my money. So how is this happening? So it's a lot. It's a lot. So infrastructure is coming up. It took a while because we thought the infrastructure was going to start maybe 4 years ago, 6 years ago, but then it's starting to come up now. Now, because they're looking at trying to bring in the Dallas Wings now. They're looking at trying to bring in the UNCF women's soccer team at...
Did you see that?
Yes. At
the Cotton Bowl, Fair Park,
yes.
Yep.
So they're looking to bring some things in now. When I first came to Dallas, Dallas was just, it was like a desert. Downtown Dallas was like a desert. All the buildings were vacant. People had moved out into the burbs. No one wanted to be downtown. Maybe 20 years ago, we would have outside counsel flying in, but they wouldn't spend time with us in Dallas. They spend time in Fort Worth. Yeah, even now, they're still spending time in Fort Worth. So it's a difference. It's a difference now what we do now. So, but
Cool.
You got a question? I got
No, yeah, you go ahead and then I'll close.
Okay. If you could give somebody watching, right? If you could give them like a 30-second of like, hey, some type of inspiration for them to keep going, what would you give them, right? Like, what would you just tell that person?
Because it's very discouraging. It's like, why vote? What's the point?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah. So, like, what would you give them to, keep
For someone
the
who
flame
really wants to be in public service.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
If you really want to be into public service, I would say bring God with you.
Amen.
Because man's going to always raise his head because man's going to always be in control. So every city's going to have a pharaoh, whether it's in the horseshoe or in departments. You have to figure out if being Moses is who you really want to be. because there's going to be hits that you're going to have to take. There's going to be integrity that you're going to have to maintain, especially when the opposition is always against you. So you're going to have to go in and say, I'm here to make change, and I'm going to stay until I do. And that's basically it.
That's
Awesome.
good. Keep God in the center. Keep God with you in anything that you do.
Yes.
And it'll, you know what I'm saying,
I didn't
shine your light.
Yeah, exactly, and I like that. Shine your light that God will see your good works,
Yeah.
and that He would get the glory. And I think that's where I was successful because I was always shining a light. Now, there were those who did not believe in the same Bible I believe in. When they had issues, though, they had no problem knocking on my door. Hey, look, I got a problem. Can you help me? Well, hold on now, wait a minute. We just had a conversation last month, and you shot me down. Well, I need you now. But keep God first. Keep God first and keep God in front, because God will be your GPS system. He will be your voice of reason, because there'll be times when you're going to have to trust Him when you want to make a vulnerable mistake.
And that's good. That's good stuff, man. I
amazing.
appreciate you, what I'm saying, coming on the show.
Yeah.
And joining us
Good
with
to
your
be here.
insight.
Thank you so much.
We are the Uncommon Crew. That wraps for the show. I'm your boy Jay Ice with my sister Michaela, my brother Dylan, and our special guest, Dr. Mac. We just please follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all our socials at Uncommon Crew. We appreciate y'all tuning in, and catch y'all next time. Peace.